Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bibliomancy for Beginners, Season 2, Episode 3? Yes. Tonight we will be discussing Codename Verity. We are usually 4 people, but one of our people doesn't have internet, so he's not here. So we're missing our
He's too
token.
emotionally traumatized by the book.
Yeah, I actually do not believe that he does not have internet. I believe that I broke him so hard he couldn't handle being here.
Round of applause for Gretchen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Poor Taylor. He should be back next week. But this makes 3 weeks in a row where we've had technical issues, so let's make this not a thing.
Hey, that's 3. That's remember 3 strikes and you're done?
Yeah, let's hope that's how it is, because I would like this to run more smoothly from now on.
At least we're actually on Tuesday night at the designated time.
This is true. We should start by introducing ourselves. I'll let Gretchen go first.
Right, so as Michaela just said, I am Gretchen from the blog My Life is a Notebook. This week's pick is my pick, and it's how I feel. Otherwise, I was trying to think of what happened today, and my dad made us go on a really long bike ride, and so now I can't feel my legs. Tomorrow I will feel my legs a lot, and they will not be happy. That's all.
I'm Michaela. I'm hosting it on my YouTube channel. It also gets posted to my blog, The Pied Piper Calls, and probably my Tumblr you might know me from, although I'm not famous anywhere, so it's not really important. Nobody cares. Nice to meet you. Rachel cares.
I care. I care.
Gretchen cares. Taylor doesn't care.
He wasn't here, therefore he does not care enough.
Yeah.
Is it me?
Right. Yep.
I am Rachel. I think there are people getting drunk in my neighborhood. And I think this book needs to be gathered up and placed in one room and locked so that nobody has to suffer through it ever again. And I'm being texted by people. That's it.
Alrighty.
Oh, wait. Since Taylor isn't here, I'm not drinking tea, but I am drinking an iced caramel macchiato. And yes, I know it is 8:30 at night. I just like coffee. Alright, now.
Alrighty. Today we're going to be discussing Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wein. If you haven't read the book, I will read the Goodreads description for you, because the back of my book only has blurbs on it. That's not helpful. October 11th, 1943, a British spy plane crashes in Nazi-occupied France. Its pilot and passenger are best friends. One of the girls has a chance at survival, the other has lost the game before it barely begun. When Verity is arrested by the Gestapo, she's sure she doesn't stand a chance as a secret agent captured in enemy territory. She's living a spy's worst nightmare. Her Nazi interrogators give her a simple choice: reveal her mission or face a grisly execution. As she intricately weaves her confession, Verity uncovers her past, how she became friends with the pilot Maddie, and why she left Maddie in the wrecked fuselage of their plane. On each new scrap of paper, Verity battles for her life, confronting her views on courage, failure, and her desperate hope to make it home. But will trading her secrets be enough to save her from the enemy? This is a Michael L. Prince Award honor book. It was called Fiendishly Plotted Mind Game of a Novel by the New York Times. It's a visceral read of danger, resolve, and survival that shows just how far true friends will go to save each other. Interesting. That's the thing. I'm going to have us all do a quick spoiler-free what we thought of this book, and then we're going to go into a spoiler section. So if you haven't read the book, you can stay for a little bit longer, and then I'll tell you when you should leave, go read the book, and come back and watch this later. Gretchen?
So obviously this is my pick for a book that every single person should read in their lifetime. And granted, as Michaela will touch on, it is a war novel. It is not a happy novel. But even for me, I should not have liked it. The way that it's written, it's like two different perspectives, and one of them speaks about themselves in the third person, so it goes into the second. It's a long story. But like the way that it's written, what the topic is, like I should not have liked it, and I can't with this book. Like I need special times to read it. I can't. It's one of those things. It's so powerful to me that I can't just pick it up and read it. I have to be in that space and be ready to just like have my heart ripped out and stabbed and twirled like spaghetti.
Beautiful imagery.
Now, I have to admit that I didn't finish the book. I'm like halfway through. And that was farther than I wanted to read in this book because I tried to push myself yesterday to finish it. I tried really hard. I gave myself, like, if I read 50 pages, I can do something that will make me feel better, and then I can read another 50 pages. I just couldn't. I read, like, 100 pages and was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And the reason behind that is that I absolutely cannot stand war novels. The reason for that being that my sophomore year in high school, we read first The Moon is Down, which is a fictional account of World War II. Then we read All is Quiet on the Western Front, which is a World War I novel about people literally fighting the war. And then we read Night by Elie Wiesel all in a row. And I was just so like, I can't anymore. I can't. No, never again. So I have to be like really specifically in the mood to read a war novel, and that was not this week for me. This week was so terrible for me. It's been one of the worst weeks I've had in a long time, and I just could not read about somebody else's pain. I just could not at all. I got like 40 pages in and was like, I can't do this. This is only 40 pages in. This isn't even the worst yet. I can't.
I'm so sorry.
So I don't have a lot to say because most of me reading this book was purposefully like not paying as close attention as I should have. I feel like this is a book I would really enjoy if I was in a better headspace. It's not poorly written. It's very well written. It's just not for me.
Well, I would say I'm actually the opposite of that. My dad's a big history war buff, and he's probably read every single nonfiction account of World War I and World War II and all of that. And I think I get that from where I actually really enjoy like intrigues, and I love World War II history and World War I history, so I really liked it. Well, honestly, the first half of the book, I didn't really care for it. I was just kind of like, like, this is kind of boring. Why are you talking about this? I don't understand. And then the second half of the book, I was just like, my mind was blown, and I found myself going back to the first half when certain parts were mentioned. I was just like, oh my god, this makes so much sense. This is brilliant. This is genius. And then bad things happened, and I'm probably never going to read this again, but it was a very good book. I recommend it if you want to die in the most brutal way possible. Usually.
Yeah. Taylor wanted me to say on his behalf that he loved it, that he hates Gretchen for making him read this book, and then it made him cry. So
Yes!
if you were prepared for that, read the book.
See, I would have cried, but I was literally like struck dumb, and I was in shock until I finished the book, and I closed it, and I just sat on my mom's bed for a half hour like, what is life? Why?
I can't even feel bad, and I'm so sorry.
Oh, please, you're excited that this book had such a profound effect on us, you bitch.
Yes, I am. I'm so excited.
Except for me. I just gave up.
No, Michaela I feel bad for. Michaela, I want to bake cookies.
Alright, that's it for our spoiler-freeness. We're going to be talking about the characters and events of this novel from this point on, so if you do not wish to be spoiled, please go away. Bye.
Also,
But come back later, though.
Yeah, I think I'd like to also add a possible trigger warning, too, since what we could or could not talk about, there will be, like, there's there's torture. I mean, it's not on screen, but we will be talking about it. Death,
But you
war.
you kind of get a vague idea of what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll touch on that at all, but that's there for
There is,
you.
yeah. No, it's a war book that takes place in a Nazi-occupied space, so anything that goes with that is pretty much there. There also might be swearing in this video. I don't know. You don't
I
know.
think I already swore, so.
It's
Peace.
generally a good bet that she did.
I don't know. Stuff happens, man. Okay. Do you guys want to start with your favorite parts?
Favorite part. I do. It's okay. So it's really funny that Rachel said that the first half wasn't her cup of tea, because the first half is what really sold it for me. Because the first half, for clarification, is told by Verity, and the second half is told by Maddie. Verity, or Julie, as she's called. And so the way that she was talking about it, I don't know. I think sometimes when I've read some books about just people being tortured or stuff like that, they're like, and I fought the power and I did this, and she's just like, nope, I'm fighting, but nope, I'm actually quite done. And she was just so real to me, I guess, in a way. But I
Yeah.
do have to say that my favorite part is probably in Maddie's, when you realize that she set up the 11 dummy sets of code.
Oh my god!
And
That
you
blew my mind!
realize I mean, because that's such a big part of the first half.
Yeah.
And
Then you realize she didn't actually give up. She was just lying.
yeah. And because then, I mean, everything after that is also great, because you realize just how much she has not put into everything that she's written, which did sound so real and so convincing.
Right? While
And then
also
it's just
giving
like,
herself most insane torture.
so yeah, I guess if I could have a favorite part, I guess that would be it.
All right. I don't have a favorite part because I didn't finish the book, and most of it just made me sad, and I didn't want to read it, so I can't really say that anything was my favorite. But Taylor would like to say that his favorite part was during the interview that Verity had, where the woman was like, "I'm looking for Verity." That interview with the American, I guess.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
his favorite part because he was like, "Ah, man, they're secreting at each other." I don't know. That's all he said. I have like 5 sentences from him. That's what I'm piping in his thoughts. I don't have a favorite part. It all made me sad. So.
I actually didn't know for sure if she was Verity. I really liked that part, and I assumed that she was, but the book never said whether she was Verity or not, and the back doesn't say if she's Verity or not. But by the title, I kind of just assumed. But I still thought that part was really funny. I don't know if I have a favorite part. There was one part. I mean, a lot of it made me laugh. She was the Queen of Sass, and it was great. I like how she always said, "You stupid Nazi bastards." And there's a lot of parts where she's just like, I need to remember to stop saying stuff like that because this Nazi general is going to read it and then I might get in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyways. So I liked all the parts like that. It made me laugh. And I did like the first part. I found her very real also. I liked how it wasn't at first the courageous, I'm going to keep holding off on this torture and I'm strong and I'm not going to tell them anything. I like how she was really matter of fact, I am scared shitless. And you know what? I'm going to die whether I tell them anything or not, so I might as well just avoid as much torture as I can. And I'm just like, I like you.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to talk about the characters? Or if we have any rants. I don't have any rants. My only rant is that I don't like war books, and that's not really fair for the book itself.
I mean, I definitely had a rant when I started the book, because when I realized that the first half was being told in the third person, because for those of you who, I mean, you should have read the book by now, but for clarification, the book is like, it's written technically in an I, because it's technically someone writing down a story, but it doesn't really become I until the second half, because Verity tells hers all in the third person as Maddie's story, and she refers to herself as Queenie, or the Scott. And when I was reading it the first time, and when it switched, I literally just sat there at the switch, and I was just like, because I don't, the third person was weird, and then it switched, and I was not happy, and then it worked, and I was just like, how you do the thing. But yeah, other than that,
the third person didn't really bother me that much. I thought it was kind of cool how she was just like, I can't do this from my eye. I can't do it, so I'm gonna write it from my best friends, pretend I'm her. I'm just like, that's really awesome.
Yeah, it made sense later, because I didn't know, obviously reading the book the first time, that it was going to switch, so the whole third person made no sense to me for a very long time.
I understood why she would want to write not about herself. And I also suspected that she didn't really want to give anything away, and that was a way for her to feel like she was giving information without giving information about herself. Like, she was saying a lot of things that seemed valuable but weren't related to the situation at hand at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and plus I prefer to read in third person. I don't like reading first person narratives as much. I don't know. It's not that it's harder for me to read them. It's just that I prefer the distance that a third-person narrative gives you to a story.
Yeah, that was definitely, I think, harder too in this one. I think there would have been a really big difference if some of Verity's parts had been told in the third person as opposed to the first person. Because I think that's, for me, like, literally, if, I mean, you know, take this with a grain of salt, but if Elizabeth Wein hadn't put in the back, like, this is a fictional account, I would have been like, yep, somebody found this in a castle in Scotland and then printed it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It just,
You know what I would have liked more? There were, like, a handful of pages where they chose to, like, show the type of paper she was writing on. Like, she mentioned she was writing on doctor prescription paper or something. I would have liked if the entire thing, like, the pages were that. Like, found footage would be, like, with a film. Like, it seems like it's a bunch of note cards stapled together or something. Or, like, photocopies of the note cards, if that makes sense. That would have made it interesting for me. They did it a couple times.
Yeah, and then you get this moment where the part switches over, where you actually get, like, handwriting looking stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, where was this the whole time?
Hold on. I know. Oh, God. It's probably down here, and I probably can't reach it from here.
I mean, that would have been super weird, though, when you switch back to Maddie's, and Maddie's writing on an actual, like, notebook.
Yeah.
I can't get this book out because I'm sitting next to the bookcase and I don't have enough space unless I stand up and get this book out. But I have a book that was produced to make it look like it's handwriting. So it looks like somebody took, like, a blue ballpoint pen and was writing on the book. Because it's, like, a novel that somebody did notes in the side of. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
So, like, if it would have been obviously a much more expensive book because the production value on that would be so much more. But doing something like that would have made it... I would have, like, maybe felt more interested in continuing the story, even though it was upsetting me, because I've been like, well, it's really cool to read it in this way. like the way it's being presented to me might have been a little bit different.
Well, I mean, at the same time, though, I kind of understand why they didn't do that, because at first it's expensive hotel paper, and then it's recipe cards, and then it's
Oh, I got the book. Okay, hold on.
like medical notes,
But
and
like,
then it's sheets of music that she actually had to write over, so it would have been like really hard to read.
okay, so I found this one. So the first part is that if this will it focus on the book?
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's so cool.
it's got the handwriting on it, but it's also filled with like pieces of like notes and stuff that come out, and there's like postcards that have writing on them that make it seem like they're placed in the book where they're supposed to be, so that the story keeps making sense. And it like gives you like more of a realistic feel where like, okay, so she switched over to doctor's prescription notes, and even if it was like just a photocopy of that, or she switched over onto recipe cards, like that would have made it more engaging. I don't know.
We can petition for a re-release.
Hmm.
I would pay good money for that.
Just
I'm
found
sure you
this
would,
in that
you
book.
sadistic evil person.
I'm sorry, I think I really derailed us. I think we were supposed to be talking about character, and I was just like, way the book is written. Let's go.
Well, I said unless we had any rants. I didn't really. I mean, that was sort of your rant.
No,
And then I was
absolutely.
commenting on that fact on the way the book was written.
I'd
Oh.
forgotten how we got here.
What? Can I just say one thing that I really liked?
Hmm.
She, Julie, or Verity, was just like, damn straight I'm pretty. Damn straight all the officers ask me to dance before anyone else. She was just like, I am hot and I know it. And it was awesome. I was just like, nobody, you always get the main girl who's really either modest or just has low self-esteem, and she's just like, I am a bad bitch. I am a bad bitch, and you will bow down to me.
And I think that the reason it really worked, because I think I've seen authors try and do that, where they're like, got this person who just thinks they're everything, but it really worked because she accepted it, but she also accepted how that worked against her in the Gestapo.
Yeah.
Because how she had to undress, because she's like, this was only done in the Proud and the Vain, and I am one of the latter, and it got her into trouble, and she owned it, and
yeah, it's like she knew that she was vain. She knew that she was privileged. She knew like all of these things, but she still accepted the fact that, you know what, I'm vain and I think I'm hot, and that ain't a bad thing. I'm just like, I really like you. I really like you. You're cool.
I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to add. What do you want me to say? I felt bad for her.
in terms of characters, though, which I think was one of your also original questions, obviously I really like Julie and Maddie. If they weren't so well done, this book wouldn't work, because it really is their story and their adventure. But I also really, really loved how, especially the Gestapo officers were done.
Yeah.
That it was really amazing. I think it's easy. I mean, I've certainly seen it done in writing, like historical pieces, where it's so easy to be like, and we have this one-dimensional bad guy over here. Especially when you have like Nazis, and why do Nazis do what they do? Oh, they're bad. Okay.
Yeah.
But they really, especially Engel and von Linden, I think was his name.
Engel, I loved Engel.
Yeah.
I think she might have been my favorite character, honestly.
Just like
maybe not my favorite, but she was up there. Yeah. I really liked her.
No, same. I think after Maddie and Julie, she's my favorite, because like it was. God, it was so good. It was like they were real people, and that That's never. I rarely see that done well.
But
where
even
it's just like,
Von Linden, who's like supposed to be the bad guy, I don't know, like Verity tore through him so fast, saw right through his wall.
yeah.
And in the end, he ended up having to be ordered by his superior to either kill her or get rid of her.
Yeah.
Or
And
else
then, I mean, in the end, they think that he committed suicide.
Yeah, or else he would have never done it. And like I could tell he didn't like torturing her because I don't know, I think she might have reminded him of his daughter or something. I just thought it was so fascinating how even he had a heart while he was torturing people by pouring kerosene down their throats.
Well, I mean, that's what a lot of people in the more recent, like when you read more recent books that are meant to be looking at what was going on during World War II or World War I, it's meant to be a more holistic view of character development, of looking at what it's like from both sides. And though usually you have to choose, like, I'm going to write from the perspective of this side.
Yeah.
They're like more and more moving less from these are the bad guys and these are the good guys to this is a person and this is a person and they're in their own specific situations right now and this is what was happening.
Yeah.
Which is more interesting than just, Nazi bastards just being bastards because they can.
Well, that's what I also really liked about the novel, because in World War II, a lot of people either didn't know what was going on, a lot of soldiers didn't know about the concentration camps, a lot of people were forced into it, I'll kill your family, so you better join, that kind of thing. So I thought it was really interesting. He sent his daughter away, Switzerland, neutral country. He sent her away to keep her safe, and then he joined and he did his best to not be in ill favor, and I thought that was really fascinating that they included that in the book. And then how they included like a bad guy and what kind of a bad guy in the forest through Paul.
Anti-hero.
Yeah. Really the only bad guy that I really hated was Tybalt. He was pretty one-dimensional. Right?
Tybalt.
He just really wanted to hurt people.
Yeah, he really did.
And I mean, that's a character as well. I mean, there obviously are people who are like that are just super sadistic.
Well, and that's what was fascinating, because with the three major Gestapo characters, Engel, Tybalt, and von Linden, you had like three different extremes. Engel, who ends up feeling so bad that she like jumped ship. And she's just like, here's all this, here, I'm going to help you get her out. You have von Linden, who feels bad, but has to do his job. And then you have Tybalt, who's just like, pins everywhere, let's hurt the people. So,
even his own little sister, like,
yeah,
he really went for it.
I
don't know. I've been reading a lot of, I don't want to knock on YA, because that's like my favorite genre of all time, but sometimes people do let things slide, and nothing was let slide here, which makes it even more like, I had a good reading run in a while, so I love it when things are done right.
What's next? Did we miss any specific main characters? Do we want to discuss them more in depth?
Jamie.
I love Jamie.
I ship Jamie and Maddie so hard.
Oh, me too. My dream is that Maddie goes to visit Jamie and his mom, and she ends up marrying him and living in that castle, and they just remember Verity and keep her alive.
They named their daughter Julie.
Oh, she flies in like Peter Pan. No, I can't. I can't. I ship Jamie
Well,
and
there's
Maddie so
the
hard.
companion book to this, jumping very far. It's called Rose Under Fire, and it Maddie is not a main character, but she is a supporting character in that one, and I haven't read that yet. It's reviewed in my blog by one of my co-bloggers. I haven't read it, but like, I really need to read it because I need to know. Like Maddie.
No, just the fact that she told him point blank, I killed your sister. I killed my best friend. Straight. To the point. And he was just like, just get us home safe. And then he put his hand on her shoulder the whole way back, like, I trust you did the right thing. And then he read the journal, and before giving it to his mother, he told her she did the right thing. He believed in her choice and didn't hold anger against her. I shipped them so hard.
If you did stay with this broadcast this long and didn't read the book, surprise!
Maddie kills Verity.
Julie dies in the end, guys. And
Well,
it hurts.
I expected that.
She gets saved from torture, though. She did do the right thing. It just hurts me.
Because I think that is, and it goes by so fast, too. Because it's just like, kiss me hardy, kiss me quick. Because she knows Maddie, she hears Maddie crying, and she's just like, Maddie, I need you to do this one last thing for me. I can't be tortured anymore. I can't do this anymore. Just get me out of here.
Yeah.
And Maddie doesn't even hesitate. She just...
It's just... Okay. I burst into loud gulping sobs, bawling like a baby. Her face, Julie's face, her face suddenly lit up like a surprise, joy and relief and hope all there at once, and she was instantly lovely again, herself, beautiful. Suddenly she laughed wildly and gave a shaking yell. Her voice was high and desperate. Kiss me, Hardy, kiss me quick. Turned her face away to make it easier, and I shot her.
Taylor's response to that was, that fucking killed me.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
The thing that really got me, though, was her face lit up with joy. I was just like, Jesus Christ. Why?
Julie knew in her last seconds that Maddie was there and that Maddie would support her in anything and save her.
Because, well, to explain, Julie thought Maddie was dead. For most of the book, Julie thought Maddie had died in a plane crash and had been burnt to a crisp. So when she hears Maddie's sobbing, which she recognizes because Maddie sobbed every time there was like gunfire or bombs because they really scared her, she recognized it. When she was about to like get shot in very uncomfortable places and basically be a cripple for the rest of her life and then be sent to an experimentation camp where they would experiment on her until she died. So it was just like she sees her and she's always talking about how I think my favorite last words are kiss me hardy, kiss me quick. And then she says that and then Maddie knows and then he shoots her and I just, God damn it.
I kept going back to that part when I read it of her one line when she's talking about her fear and her fear of getting old. And she's just like, that was such a vain fear. I desperately want to get old. And that hurts reading it over again when you know what's coming and you're just like, and then you know she knows it too.
Yeah.
You know she knows it.
Well,
And it's
I mean, at the back of the book, I have the summary at the back of the book. I didn't read anything else but this before I started reading the book. And the first 3 sentences are, I have 2 weeks. You'll shoot me at the end, no matter what I do. She knows there's no way out. She knows she's going to be shot.
Yeah, see, that's very different on my copy of the book. My one line on the back is, it's like being in love, discovering your best friend, which sounds way happier than this book ever is. But it's so true at the same time, so, you know, whatever.
And all mine says is, arrested by the Gestapo, Verity is given a choice, reveal her mission or face a grisly execution. They'll get the truth out of her, only it won't be what they expect.
Very good at
You know, I
blurbing
have
this book.
like a compilation of sentences that she actually said in the book.
What version do you have?
I don't know. It's from my library. It looks like this.
Oh yeah, see that was one of the first releases. The paperbacks look like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I actually got a pretty decent summary, but I had no idea what was going to happen. It really didn't give anything away, which I feel like the Goodreads gave a bit too much away.
I mean, I didn't even finish the book, and I knew that Maddie was going to be the one that was going to be alive, even though our narrator thought that she was dead.
I desperately hoped that they were both going to be alive.
Somebody has to die.
An optimist when I'm not in my... I'm optimistic when it's not me.
I did too. I really, since like this book just kept harping on friendship, I was just like,
They're both
their
gonna be
friendship will
alive,
get
they're
them
gonna
out
be
of this
young,
alive,
they're gonna
and
grow
then
up together, and no.
no.
Nah, man. It's a war book. Somebody's gotta die.
What really gets me, though, is that all the prisoners hated her so much. But she wasn't telling them anything.
I know. That must have killed her too, because she lived off of everyone else's praise. And
Yeah.
here was everyone there just being like, nope, nope, nope,
Like,
nope.
they spat on her and made fun of her, but she was actually helping them in a weird kind of way because she was making them follow up on bogus things.
Yeah.
Ugh. Excuse me while I go die in a corner.
Setting? World War II, man?
World War II man. Although this has to be the one World War II book that I have read that maybe only mentioned Jews twice. Not that's a bad thing or a good thing. But like I had never read anything that wasn't directly related to the Holocaust experience.
I've read a book that had to do with Japan and the atomic bomb. So I'm going to count that as one that never mentioned the Jews, because that's not important.
What really confused me was that they knew about the concentration camps. I thought concentration camps weren't discovered until they started marching through, like after the Americans joined and they started marching through and they stumbled across them and then they started searching them out. And it seemed like they knew before the Americans joined that there were concentration camps, which I didn't...
They knew that there were work camps. I don't think they knew that they were concentration camps. So
Okay.
They knew that people were getting rounded up and put into camps. I don't think they knew that everybody was being massacred, basically.
Okay.
Because, like, during World War II, the Americans took as many Japanese American people as they could and put them into work camps.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which were not concentration camps. So it wasn't like the horror of it that was known, if that makes sense. Like that's what people always talk about, is like people finding the mass graves of like hundreds of just dead bodies just all mushed together, or
The pile of all their shoes.
Yeah. The only other World War II book I can think of that, I mean, it references concentration camps and Jews, but not in the way as The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, because the narrator of that book is like a 12-year-old boy who doesn't know what that is. So while you as a reader are understanding what he's commenting on, he doesn't know what it is, and that was what was interesting about that book.
Yeah. That's actually, I think that's a playable movie on Netflix.
The movie was depressing because the father, who is Nazi, super high in the government, totally running that concentration camp, is Remus Lupin, and that is not a way that I want to see him. I was just like, no, but no. 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 This is not what I want. That's a thing.
But yeah, setting World War II, France.
Mm.
Mostly, well, it's half in Julie's hellhole, half in Maddie's hellhole. Neither of them really get to see much happy, ever. So.
I wouldn't want to see happy. Happy is what makes things painful. It's painful enough seeing the sad.
Aww.
If anybody wants to ever be really, really sad, because it is a comedy movie, but probably the saddest movie I've ever seen in my life, is La Vita è Bella, or something like that. Life is Beautiful. It's an Italian movie, and it's about this guy and his family who are Jewish in Italy, and they get taken to concentration camps, and he sneaks his little boy in without them knowing and manages to keep him alive there, because they would have taken that kid and just immediately gassed him. He manages to keep him alive, and it's about him being there and then being able to escape. And it's really funny because it's a comedy movie. They put in like a ton of comedy, and it's really funny, but it's also the saddest thing you will ever see in your life. And I cried. So hard during that movie.
I'm just still trying to wrap my mind around concentration camp comedy.
Yeah.
Right? Well, he ends up being like a waiter at one of their special functions, and he's always doing really funny things to make his son happy. Because his son is petrified. He lives underneath his bed all day, and he barely eats. So he's always doing like little comedy things to keep his son happy. But oh my god, just if you ever need any idea, watch that movie. It's beautiful. I'll probably watch it again at some point and cry. I'm sorry, I love World War II history. Now I'm just getting off track.
It's fine. We've already spoken about the writing style. Gretchen already talked about whether or not she would read. She totally wants to read the companion novel. Rachel, do you want to read the companion novel?
Yeah, I would read it.
I won't, because no. But just no. Not because I don't think it would be good. I can't. I can't do it.
Did we miss anything from Taylor?
Hold on, let me check. He would like us to know that he understood the codes going on within Julie's story.
Oh, really? I had no idea what was going on.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they did this in the first one. See, I read mine and they didn't have this in my first copy, but in Julie's notes on mine,
they're underlined?
Yeah, you get Engel's underlining. And that makes it so much simpler, because I just read pure text at first.
Well,
and it made no sense to me, but
I got the underlines, and I figured that they meant something, but I still just I didn't take the time to try and work it out. I just kept reading, which really becomes obvious now because I should have noticed that. I mean, one thing that's underlined is these cellars are empty because they are not secure. Obviously there's some kind of code going on here.
Yeah.
I can text Taylor and see what his thought. I can ask him to elaborate on what his thoughts on the code are. So I just sent that, and then maybe he will have something to say, because I noticed the code and I knew something was going on, and it wasn't even that it was like, okay, something is underlined there, but it was like, I'm like, this is shifty. Some of the way that she's wording things is weird. I have a couple of sticky notes. Here's one. A little purple sticky note. But because I didn't finish it in its entirety, I don't think that I could pull together everything.
Oh, I have two things to say actually. Is question, is this author British?
No. She was born in New York City. Oh, wait, hold on, though. Elizabeth Wein was born in New York City, grew up abroad, and currently lives in Scotland with her husband and 2 kids. She is an avid flyer of small planes and also holds a PhD in folklore from the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That's an interesting PhD.
Yes.
Because I don't think I ever heard anybody use the word jolly in Britain or Scotland when I was over there for 4 months. And she used jolly a lot in this, and I was kind of like, I don't think they actually say this word, but they might have back then, I don't know. But
Yeah.
also she used buckets of blood a lot, and I thought that was hilarious because there's actually a pub over there that used to be called Buckets of Blood because there was illegal street fights and stuff. So I was just like, hey, I've been to this pub called, well, actually it's called the Lamb and Flag, but everybody called it Buckets of Blood because everybody got beat to a bloody pulp there. So I thought that was really funny.
Awesome. Is there anything else we can think of?
Tears. Just tears. Tears in the best way. For me. I know not for Michaela. But, like, because for me, I think I've said this before, but I don't necessarily, like, I enjoy books. I do not necessarily have an emotional response. I'm usually, like, I put it down and I'm like, oh, that was a good book, or that was not, like, you know what I mean? I'm never, like, I can count the number of times I've cried over a book on one hand. I need all my fingers either. Like, I don't usually get really emotionally invested.
I can say the
And
same
this
thing.
book
I don't cry
Yeah.
from books. And usually if a book is powerful enough to make me physically cry, I'm like, that was a really powerful scene, whatever that was, or that monologue was real strong. Wow. I cry a lot more with movies because of my empathy for people. When I'm seeing other people cry about sad stuff, it makes me cry about sad stuff. Not so much in books. Because I guess there isn't that much of a connection anymore.
Yeah, no, same. So, I don't know, whenever I get a book that really, and especially on rereads, because, like, you read a book once and it affects you very profoundly, and then you go back to it again and you're like, okay, you know, that's not this book for me. Like, rereading it again for book club, I was just sitting there and I was just like, so, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I ever really cry that often during books. It has to be, like, written a certain way, I guess, for me. I don't know.
I don't cry from character death usually. Usually I cry from some sort of, like, profound monologue or remembering scene. So, like, if you... Okay, I'm going to use Les Mis as an example. I don't cry when everybody dies in Les Mis. I would cry during the empty chairs at empty tables scene. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the remembering and the depression of the people who are alive that affects me more than the fact that one of my favorite characters just died, and that's super sad.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, I've seen so many movies and read so many books that this is going to sound terrible, but people dying usually doesn't affect me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, watching Game of Thrones. I mean, people die, like, every episode, but in the beginning, I mean, I don't know when people die. I haven't read the books yet. But in the beginning, when people started dying, I was just like, well, shit. There goes my favorite character. I guess I'm just going to have to find a new one.
Yeah.
I was never really that affected by it. So it, like, takes a certain thing. Like, this was really good because she didn't elaborate. She just skimmed right over it. It was short, quick.
Yeah.
And you kind of sat there after you finished reading it like, did that really just happen? Did I read that right?
Yeah.
I think that's what really got this book for me is because, like, she brushes over a lot of issues, like the torture, like the death, and you don't see a lot of it. Most of it is the psychological effect that all of this is having on Julie, on Maddie, on the
A lot
people
of it,
around
like
them.
Maddie obviously had PTS.
Yeah.
She totally had PTS. So,
So that's another thing that I really liked, was that a lot of times you see these kind of plots and they're very action oriented, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna get you by describing every little detail, and it's gonna hurt you, man." And I don't know, I got more pain from just hearing how Julie was like dealing with it and processing it, and Maddie as well. And just like, I didn't need to know what happened. I knew enough to like just
yeah.
get, I don't know.
That's why I couldn't finish reading it, because of I don't like reading about other people's pain, and this is just an entire novel of nonstop pain,
Yeah.
emotional pain.
Yeah.
That's
They
all
really
it is.
don't talk about action that much at all. It's just like, oh, bomb drills are going off again.
Yeah.
There, I mean, there's not a lot of violence. They just talk about dealing with it and living through it and being a part of it.
Yeah. I think that's why I was able to read The Book Thief, because the majority of The Book Thief it's not action oriented, but it's the pain is like bits. Like you can see and feel the pain viscerally, and it makes you feel bad, and you're like, this is a terrible thing that happened. But there are also like expanses of time where it's not as heavy on you. Whereas with this, it's just like, no, we're just gonna crush you. We're just gonna crush you. Just constant pain everywhere. I'm just like, no, I don't. I
See,
can't.
that's so funny, because I did get through The Book Thief. I did not enjoy the ride. When the movie came out, I was just like, that's funny. Because I mean, I don't know. I was also I read it a very long time ago, so I'm remembering, a younger reader as well.
It's a slow book. It's not. It took me a long time to read The Book Thief for the book that it is. It's not like very deep language or very profound in what it's doing. It's just the fact that, you have to sit there and read it, and it's just like normal daily life for somebody living in a war zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think most of my issue at the time was how it was written, like the whole death thing and the snippets, and I was just sitting there just like, no. So
Yeah.
again, like I have a copy of it somewhere. When the book came out, I was wondering if I wanted to return to it. However, I usually do not inflict such pain on myself as like a general rule.
Yeah.
So I still haven't done that, because I was like, well, I could read this, or I could read a happy book. And I usually pick a happy book.
Well, that was like, for my blog, I was going to read Catch-22 this week after I finished this one. But since I couldn't finish this one, I was like, I can't. I'm going to read a happy book, and it's going to be not related to this book at all, and I don't even care.
Yeah, no, I'm supposed
Your
to be
other
reading.
review.
I'm supposed to be reading a book about suicide for my random reads feature. And I just like, I had this book, and then I had the other book, and I was holding them both, and I was just like, no, I'm gonna go with no.
You know what I'm going to read about? A YA book about a girl falling in love.
I almost read that one.
It has to do with traveling abroad in South America, so I think I will enjoy it.
Yes.
No, I just have a tendency to gravitate towards depressing things. Depressing music is definitely big for me. I love it. I think I also love depressing books. Let me look at my books. I mean, they usually have happy endings. Sometimes they have sad endings too, but there are still good parts.
Yeah.
But throughout the whole book, you just like feel so bad for that character.
I tend to go in really big waves. Like, I will pick a category, and I will read in that category, and I will hate everything else. And then I will like decide that I hate the category I've been reading and change. Like, I did that with YA contemporary romances. I hated that genre for so long, And then I just got into this kick, and I was like, and French Kiss, man, it screws up everything because it's so amazing. And I was just like, I want more! And then I fell out of that funk again, and I was like, don't want to read another one ever again!
Mm.
So, I know, we've got so off topic, I don't know where I came from.
Now we're just talking about reading in general. Yeah.
We're so desperate for some happiness, we're inventing our own.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, it's still related to the topic because we're talking about we're talking about the fact that I couldn't read this book because it's so outside of what I can stand in what a book is. And it's not that I need to constantly be reading happy books because I obviously read sad books as well. And I mean, I think half of the books I read last year had to do with like cancer, character death for no apparent reason, dystopian novels with character death for no apparent reason. Like,
I think we read the Virgin Suicides at your request.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, I do pick out sad books, but they are not just never-ending emotional trauma. That's what this was for me, and I couldn't take it.
I promise you, I don't usually, like I said, I don't usually read books like this. I do not seek out books like this.
Yeah.
I do not read these as a perennial favorite. Like, I tend to be the poppy YA hit of the week.
Yep.
Like, that's generally what my pick is, for better or for worse.
Yep. Oh, I should probably take this down.
So, like, yeah, I mean, this is a little bit out of character for me, but it's just...
Let's talk about next week.
Yes, since Taylor's not here.
Since Taylor's not here, I will hold this up for you guys. We have Rumo by Walter Moores. We're only reading the first half of this, and by the first half, we mean to... Where is it? There's a page. Can't... I know it's somewhere in here. It's like split into book 1 and book 2 inside this book. So like,
okay, good, because I'll probably end up with a Kindle version, so I needed to like figure that out.
Yeah, there is a specific page, but it is split into book 1 and book 2.
Who's it by again?
Walter Moores. Walter spelled normally Moers.
Good. Yes.
Which I believe is a fantasy novel. Okay, I found it. So like, book 1, we're reading this part, and this is book 2. And he did that because this is like a 700-page novel, which he didn't want us to have to read in 1 week. So, I mean, if you can read the whole thing, I'm sure it's great, but Rumo. I'm going to be reading Wanderlove for Friday. If you would like a happy-go-lucky book review where I actually finish the book. So, there's that. I think that's everything. We can shout out our social media stuff.
Okay, so as mentioned previously, I am Gretchen from the blog My Life is a Notebook, and basically to find me, the only thing you have to remember is ADKWriter15. As my website is adkwriter15.wordpress.com. My Twitter handle is adkwriter15. My Tumblr handle is adkwriter15. My Facebook page is actually My Life is a Notebook, believe it or not.
Whoa.
I know. Whoa, dude.
Consistency.
Whoa. So weird. And I am my own name on Goodreads. So.
Yep. My blog is thepiedpipercalls.wordpress.com. My Twitter is @piedpipercalls. If you want to see pictures and GIFs of super cute Korean boys, then you should follow my Tumblr, which is ravensinthenightsky.tumblr.com. Because there's lots of whimsy there. Happiness. I think that's everything. My Goodreads is my name as well. All of the links will be down below for you guys in the description box anyway.
And I am whenthetigers-breakfree.tumblr.com. And if you want to see a lot of cute pictures of Ezra Koenig and Alex Turner, you can follow me.
So many.
So many. Sorry. But they're pretty adorable.
Mm. And if you want to find Taylor, although I don't know why you would want to find Taylor because he's not here, he's at ET Greenwood on Twitter.
Who
You
likes
don't want to
men?
find him.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about his book that we're reading for next week, you can tweet at him. You should do that. Or just tweet at him and tell him his face is weird.
That works too.
Because he's not here. So, do that. That's how I'll know somebody watched this. Taylor gets a tweet that says,
Tell
Taylor,
him
your
his
face is
scruff
weird.
looks weird. He'll get really offended.
Flawless. I think that's good. I think we are all set. We've been on for exactly an hour, so I'm sure that we can stop the broadcast now. Good night and good luck. Bye.
Bye.